Welcome to the Queer Compass. I'm Luis.
I'm Eric, and we're your two gay besties.
And we're here to talk about lifestyle, career, pop culture, and everything else. Okay, yes.
Enjoying some of the chilly weather. I had to close my window last night. I couldn't sleep with it open.
Oh, it's so crazy. I'm living for it though, because I run naturally hot.
Oh.
So I love being able to bundle up. Like in the summer, I'm like, throw all the sheets off. Like, no.
Oh my gosh, I know. I very rarely run the heat here. And there have been a few nights. The low one night last week was 48. And I was like, I got to turn the heat on a little bit. It's really cold.
Oh, I love the toasty weather.
I know.
Oh my gosh. And I was just saying how I got that gingerbread oat creamer from Trader Joe's.
Yes.
Oh my God. And I've just been living because I've been making my little chai tea in the morning. I throw some of that in there and it just tastes like a little gingerbread holiday goodness.
Do you drink chai tea hot or cold?
Hot.
Oh
Yeah.
my
gosh. Now, obviously.
Yeah.
I feel like normally I'm a coffee person, but I don't know. I still have caffeine, but I just haven't been making coffee. I've been doing more tea lately. So I've just been kind of putting some of that in my chai tea. And it goes well because of the cinnamon.
Do you ever do ice drinks or no?
Oh my God. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Honestly, generally, yes. But I just feel like, to be honest, I'm too lazy to go through the ice process of it all.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just going to make it hot during the winter because it's in the mornings, especially when I get up at 4:30 in the morning. I don't want something cold.
Yeah.
Right now.
Oh my God, that's so funny. I was at a previous job of mine and one of my buddies was ordering coffee for lots of people in the office, and he ordered an iced coffee for one of our friends. And I was like, how do you know he doesn't want hot coffee? And he's like, he's gay. And I was like,
that's
oh
so
my God.
real.
I was like, is that a thing? I think it is, I guess. I don't know.
God. No, they always say the gays in their iced coffee, shake, 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 slurp, slurp, And generally, I feel like in the past, I've always been I will always have a cold drink no matter what type of person.
Yeah.
But for some reason lately, I've just been, and again, I'm a naturally hot-blooded person, so I feel like the cold drinks kind of don't impact me that way. But lately I've just been craving the toastiness of the winter, so I'm like, no, I'll have my hot chai in the morning.
Okay, I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I'm doing iced all year round. If it's snowing in St. Louis and we go get coffee, I get iced coffee.
I mean, work. Every now and then also do on a rainy day I'll be like, yeah, but I want an iced latte or something, you know?
Yeah. I don't know what it is. I just always
cold.
gravitate towards the iced.
Well, speaking of the toasty holiday weather, holidays are coming up, and you're about to travel.
I am. I'm going to St. Louis for quite a while.
Yeah.
It's about 2 weeks. I'll be
crazy.
there.
And you normally go back to St. Louis for the holidays, right?
I sure do.
Okay,
yeah. Spend time with the family, the kids. My family's quite large. My dad has 5 brothers. His dad has 17 brothers and sisters.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
So,
17 is wild.
Yeah. So our family's quite big. We have a lot of cousins.
Yeah.
And it's really fun. So we get to see everybody. But yeah, there's a lot of functions while I'm there. And so it's 4 nights are occupied with family engagements.
Yeah. Oh, that's so nice. I mean, I get that because when we go back, usually this time of year, we go to Mexico to visit my grandpa and our family that's out in Mexico. We still have a lot of family here in California, but we'll see them during this time of year. And it's the same thing. Of course, when you're out there, it's you're seeing the grandparents, you're seeing the aunts, the uncles, the cousins, you're seeing everybody. There's always something to do.
Yeah.
And in that, everyone knows you're in town, so they everyone's very hospitable. Everyone's showing you around, doing all these activities. It just feels in a good way, but it does feel like there's a lot to do while you're out there, you know?
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. But this year we're staying local.
Okay.
Because of the baby and everything, we are just staying nearby. But like I said, we have a bunch of family here. We also have kind of a big family. My dad is one of 8. My mom's one of 9. So we have a lot of aunts and uncles and all that and cousins. So we still have a lot of family here. So we'll just be hanging out around there for Christmas.
Do you guys have a tradition on Christmas Eve, Christmas morning? Are you at your parents' house? Are you at your sister's house?
Christmas Eve is really the big one for us.
Okay.
We usually get together Christmas Eve in that evening, and then we stay up until midnight to wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Oh, yes.
And then after midnight, we can either stay or people start to go home. Obviously, it gets late. And then Christmas morning is usually you with your immediate family. And then sometimes we'll get together with the extended family later in the afternoon.
We do, my dad's mom's house on Christmas Eve. We're just like hang out there for a little while, see everybody. And then Christmas morning is kind of like the big day. We spend all day together, like my immediate family, and like all afternoon it's like eating multiple meals and opening presents and hanging out all day long. It's so fun.
Wait, okay, and is your family the gift giving type?
Oh my God. It's out of hand.
Really?
Oh my God. My mom is, first of all, everything for the grandkids like has to be epic. And I'm not kidding. Every single year when, spoiler alert, when we're bringing up Santa's presents from the basement, I'm like, oh my God, Mom. I'm not joking. Like a quarter of the living room floor is covered in presents, like vertically stacked. And I'm like, this is so out of hand. What are we? Yeah. What? But it's really fun. I mean, the kids like obviously love it. They wake up in the morning and it's like, everyone is just so excited. But my mom is like mega gifter.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, totally.
Oh, that's so funny.
What? Are you guys like one gift or how do you?
Well, okay, growing up, because there were so many of us, like, and we would always get together, like at my, either at both sides, my mom or my dad's side, because there were so many kids, we would have like a whole section with presents for all the kids. And then the older set of cousins would usually be the ones to like distribute them. So everyone would sit around and like everyone would get together. And then they would be like, okay, this one's for Louise, this one's for Yvette. And we would literally watch everyone open their gifts.
Oh, yeah. We take turns too.
Yeah. And it takes
forever. Hours.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, how did they sit through that? We were just like, also because all the adults are just watching the kids open gifts and they're like, wow, great.
Yeah. One by one.
One by one.
Say thank you.
Right.
On to the next.
Literally. It's such a process. Yeah. Oh my gosh. But it is fun. So in that, yes, growing up, that was very much the case. But as we got older, I feel like, it was very much, we were the big wave of kids. And then like now there are kids in the family, but it's at a way lesser amount. Right?
Okay.
So we don't necessarily do it as big in that sense. And then my immediate family actually went through a period where we didn't really do gifts. We stopped like within ourselves. Growing up, we kind of did. My parents especially would like get us gifts and Santa and all that stuff. But yeah, as we got older, we stopped getting gifts, I think because we started going to Mexico more, and it was more so just like the trip was the gift and we didn't really think about it in that sense. We were just traveling anyways.
Yeah.
So we kind of stopped, and then we've brought it back like a year here and there. And this year we are giving gifts again.
You are?
Yeah. So it's kind of funny because it's not a routine necessarily for us. So I think when we do decide, okay, we're going to do gifts, we're all like, okay, we're going to do gifts. Like, we have to do gifts,
Yeah.
So even I'm finding myself just being like, okay, what am I going to get? And like trying to plan and coordinate all that because I'm like, we don't do this every year. So it's something different,
We do 100% gifts every year. In our immediate family, when I gift to my parents, it's usually like an item or two. But, as I got older, it's like more. I got my dad a couple of things. I got my mom a couple of things.
Yeah.
My brother and I tell each other in advance what we're getting one another.
Okay. Oh my God. Wait, no way.
He's bad at keeping secrets. I'm bad at keeping secrets.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny.
Yeah. So I'm like, what do you want? Or there was one time we were like buying Nike shoes online. He called me in like November. He's like, Nike's having a sale right now. Like, buy 3 pairs of shoes, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, cool. And then he called me like an hour later. He's like, do you actually want to give that to each other for Christmas? And I was like, oh, cool. That's great.
Oh my God. Wait, that kind of works out though. That's so nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Hey, and the other person's going to like it, so.
Right, yeah. My mom helps me get stuff for the kids because she's like keenly aware of what they like. Right, so like I do have a lot of help from her for that. Yeah, when it comes to like extended family, we do like, because the families are so big, we do a gift exchange. So on Thanksgiving, we draw names. You only gift one person.
Oh, okay, nice. I was going to say, usually my sisters and I, like for my parents especially, not always, but if we have a big ticket item that we're like, oh, like, there was a year where we gifted my dad like a whole massage gun with the extra attachments and blah, blah, the whole thing. So we were like, hey, do you guys want to go in on this? So it comes from all three of us. And we'll usually chip in for like a big ticket item and be like, this is what we got you, So sometimes we'll do that. Like this year, I have an idea for my mom. And I was like, it's another kind of like big ticket item. And I was like bringing it up to my sisters and I'm like, do you guys want to go in on this? We can all, you know, 3-way chip in for this gift. And yeah, I think that's, you know, sometimes that works out best for all of us. Like if one of us has an idea, we're like, let's just go in on it together.
Fun. Oh my gosh, that's fun. Well, I can't wait to see what they had in mind for you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, my favorite gifts to receive. Well, my favorite gifts to give and receive.
Okay.
Are homemade gifts
Oh,
or handmade
I love
gifts.
that.
So like I love giving Stone and Co stuff. I pour these concrete vessels.
So beautiful, by the way.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I love gifting those. And my favorite gift my mom ever gave me was like one year I was like, hey, can you like Xerox all the recipes that you made for us like growing up like all the time? Because she has them in these little cards and I thought she was just gonna like put together a little like something. She like scrapbooked this freaking I have to show it to you. It's
so
like a
cute.
whole book with all the recipes. It was like colorful and she like hand wrote every single recipe. So like I have all of her handwriting in a book. It's really special.
Oh my gosh, that
like open it and cried immediately.
No, that's like, I mean, that's because you know somebody put the effort and the physical work to like make this for you.
My God.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah. My mom also like embroidered, she has an embroidery machine. She embroidered me this pillow with a bunch of words on it. And it was like all the neighborhoods that I loved in Chicago when I lived there. I was like, oh my God, how'd you think of all that?
Cute.
Yeah, it was
Wait,
so
that's
cool.
so cute. I like, oh man, not that I'm not crafty, but sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I thought of that, like would have that mindset a little more.
Yeah.
But that's a good one to get in the mindset of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Just little, you know, brainstorm ideas.
That's cute.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm definitely more of like, whenever people ask me like what I want, I it's not that I don't know, because sometimes sure there are things in my head that I'm like, oh, I could use this or I could use that. So it's either I'm very practical with it or I would rather like an experience, you know, like if somebody's like, hey, let's go do this together, or like it doesn't even have to be big, right? But just like, I don't know, a local pop-up or something, like let's go to this experience together. I think I would rather do that than ask for like a gadget, you know?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I feel like, okay, at the end of the day, if I really wanted that gadget, maybe I could just buy it for myself.
Yeah.
But it's like a memory to create, you know? So for me, I'm
Totally.
definitely more of an experienced person than I am like, but I also think, you know, speaking of like love languages, right? Like some people really are gift givers.
Yeah.
Like my dad, I think his love language really is gift giving. Like he is such a gift giver and he likes to show appreciation that way. Even if it's not like a big gift, but like whenever I come home, when they go to the grocery store, he's always like, oh, get these snacks because they're like Luis's favorite. So whenever I come home, he's like, my sister will always tell me like, oh, dad got those because he knew you were coming. And I'm like, that's so sweet because I know him and I know that's his love language. So he's really thinking of you. But that's not how I like.
No?
Not in that sense, but when it comes to gifts itself, like I don't need a gift is what I feel.
Yeah.
I acknowledge that that's his love language. So I really appreciate and love that.
Yeah.
But if someone were to ask me, I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, I like gifts make me feel special. No, for me, it's like quality time and experiences that make me feel really special, you know?
Yeah. There was one year my parents, actually it was last year, a cooking class. We did a cooking class together. Yeah, it was so cool. We like made pasta and did the whole thing like by hand. It was really, really fun. Like my parents had never done that before. I had never made like a cream-based pasta sauce before. It was just like really fun.
Oh, see, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
so cool.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, what is your love language? Now I have to know. Do you know? Or what would you say is yours?
I think quality time.
Quality time.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like just like being with people is definitely. I also like don't know if I know all the things. I'll have to
It's like
read
words
the book.
of affirmations, gift giving, quality time, physical touch.
I think it's or acts of service.
Acts of service is the other one. That's right.
That might be a close second
Ooh,
for
yeah.
acts of service. So like, well, that kind of makes me think of your dad. Where you're like, oh, I'll like pick this up for you, or oh, I'll do this for you.
Oh yeah,
you know?
yeah. That could be that.
But
too.
yeah, like acts of service, like when I go home and like my mom will like do some of my laundry, I'm like, oh my God,
that's so nice.
you know, I'm
so
like,
thoughtful. Yeah.
okay, you know, but
Aw.
quality time for sure.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Oh my God, amazing.
Yes. Oh my God.
Okay.
Let's go for it.
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, if you guys are watching this, by the way, we have our fun little themed mics. Okay, we got
Yes.
the pink and green.
Yes.
And I'm in green. You're in pink and green.
I'm in pink and green. I got gold nails on
Yes.
for the Emerald City.
Yes. I definitely felt like I saw this shirt in my closet and I was like, I feel like I'm going to Shiz University.
Oh, you do. You definitely do. You're about to play rugby.
Right. I'm about to play rugby at Shiz, okay? Okay, you guys, we are so excited.
Yes.
Because we both see, well, you more so, but we
God.
both saw Wicked multiple times, okay? And we're so excited to talk about it.
I have seen Wicked multiple times. I saw it a total of 5 times so far.
Oh my God, work.
3D, IMAX a couple times, regular theater a couple times. Yeah, it is so special to me.
Yeah, no,
so
agreed. And you had seen the musical, right?
Also multiple times.
Okay. Yeah. Same here. So I was really excited for this. And I know that it was like 3 years in the making that they were talking about this essentially. So, yeah, I was very excited. I saw it twice, which to be honest for me is even a lot because I normally am not somebody to go back to the theater and watch something again.
Yeah.
And I would honestly see it again.
Yeah.
You know, like I would see it once or twice more or something, I think. But point is, yeah, I really did enjoy it. And after the first time, it was that craving of wanting to see it again in a theater setting.
The big sounds, the big the big imagery, like it's huge. It's a giant.
And you know what's so funny? Side note on that, like watching it in LA versus San Diego, okay? Because my sister saw it twice also. We saw it together for the second time. Mm-hmm. And because my other sister hadn't seen it. So I was like asking her because, you know, in LA, I think it's just maybe just a very theatrical thing to do, obviously. After the end of like every song, the first time I watched it here, everyone was cheering
and clapping and screaming.
Clapping and screaming, which was great because there was always a pause, right? So people were doing that in between. Nobody sang.
Yeah,
nobody sang. So everyone was respectful. But yeah, everyone was like cheering, clapping. In San Diego, nobody cheered, nobody clapped. And I was like, I looked at my sister and I was like, that's so weird because like when I saw it last time, everyone was cheering. And she's like, oh, really? Even the last time I saw it, nobody cheered. Really? And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
So it is interesting to think of like where you're watching it to and the experience that you're probably having. Not to say it was a bad experience because everyone reacts differently. Like sometimes people are just processing it, right?
Yeah. I saw it the night before opening night. You could like log on to AMC and just buy tickets. You didn't have to have a special like access code or anything. It was just like available. Yeah. And people were dressing up.
Yeah.
They had the commemorative cups, the commemorative like popcorn bucket. People were wearing pink and green. People were excited, all these things. The theater was like, you know, the glass doors in the front had Wicked stuff all over them, floor to ceiling. It actually encouraged me to see more movies on opening night because it was like the excitement around it was part of it. People were cheering.
Yeah.
People were crying.
Yeah.
Like people were really connected. There was a spoiler alert. If you haven't seen this, don't listen to the next 10 seconds. But Kristen Chenoweth and
Idina Menzel
were in it, and people were like, people like gasped. No. You could hear people. It was very cool. I did too.
Yeah, when they came on, I was like, I was like, oh my gosh. Me either. I didn't either. I didn't know. Like, I mean, I guess it makes sense that they would have them in there, but also that was not the moment I thought they were going to be in. So all of a sudden they came out and I was like, oh my God. I remember hearing everybody like gasp, right?
Yeah.
But same thing in San Diego, even like I didn't hear that in the crowd. So I was very surprised. I was like, oh wow, this is so different, you know?
Yeah.
But I also think like, even, I mean, one of my sisters knew who they were, right? My other sister was like, who's that? Yeah. And I was like, okay, girl. But she also, I mean, she I don't think she's invested in the musical like that, right?
Yeah.
But she did really enjoy it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. That's how my mom will be when I see it with her.
Oh, you're gonna see it with her?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, the first time I saw Wicked was with her. And she like grew up loving The Wizard of Oz. So it's like really special to her too. Oh,
that's amazing. Yeah. And it was cool to see it the second time around because I also, you know, social media gives you like little, what are they called? Easter eggs and things that are in the movies. And you start to really look at things differently. So when you see it again, you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. And like now you're spotting things. It was cool to see it again for sure.
Yes.
Okay. Diving into the movie itself.
Let's go for it. It opens up directly. Universal Pictures gets right into a song. Like, the credits don't come until later. Right. The opening credits don't come until after the first song is over.
Right.
And the first song opens and it's like, ding dong, the witch is dead. They're in Munchkin Land. Ariana floats down from the sky.
In the bubble.
Yes, in a bubble. She has her wand. It's
Do you
good
remember?
to see me, isn't it?
Side note. Do you remember that like Vine or that clip that went around of those two guys fighting, and he was like they were fighting over the Wicked Witch and who was the good witch and who was the bad witch, and he's like, she came down in a bubble, Doug.
The Wicked Witch of the East, bro. She came down in a bubble, dog.
Okay, but yes, that first opening scene, Ariana Grande. Okay, I know she mentioned that she was training way beforehand for this to get her like opera vocals.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, did she nail it. I mean, I'm not an opera singer, so I can't speak to that. But I did see on TikTok some opera singers commenting as well. And they were saying that, of course, like, you know, her style's different. But they did say she did a really, really good job of hitting that.
That role requires both. It requires a little bit of pop, a little bit of opera. Kristen Chenoweth, who popularized the role, was a classically trained opera singer who accessed her pop voice a little bit too. So it's a give and take with this role. I think she obviously trained, and it was evident that she was enthusiastic about it. But yeah, that first song that features her was very, very good.
Right off the bat, I was like, what a way to get it started.
Yes.
John Chu over here, also incredible.
I know.
What an amazing production. Like the sets, okay? The sets that they did, the minimal CGI that he wanted, like all of it all together. They planted like, I forget how many poppies.
9 million.
Yeah, 9 million poppies in that field. Like crazy. I remember I was listening to a podcast, like again, business tech podcast, and they were like, what are they going to do with all this? Like, it would be cool if they made it like you can come visit the sets, type of thing. But it was filmed in the UK, right?
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. It's kind of like, what's going to happen with all these sets? I can't believe they did that. It was amazing. It looked amazing. That train that they rode into the Emerald City was a real train that they like designed and covered. I'm like, oh my gosh, just the production was insane.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Now that you say that, when I went to Universal City Walk to watch it, they had like the costumes and they had like the most wicked stuff. It's a Universal picture. And now that you say it, I wonder if they'll bring any of the set pieces to Universal Studios for the backlot tour.
That would be cool.
Yeah. Because like they have Jaws back there and like.
Right. Yeah.
They have a bunch of stuff.
I feel like they probably will eventually.
Yeah,
right?
probably. Villager girl says, hey, were you friends? And she says, yes, we knew each other at school. Yeah, gasp. Oh my God, you knew the Wicked Witch.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to her flashback, Ariana arriving at school. Yeah. And then we are also introduced to Elphaba in that scene as well.
Yep. With her sister Nessa.
Yes. And everyone gasps because she's green.
Yes, because she's green. Very, very interesting take, obviously, when she's like, oh, you're offering somebody help that isn't asking, right? And two, with skills that you don't yet have. And you're telling me that I have a problem, because she's like, oh, I'll help you fix this problem. And she's like, oh. And, I think obviously, this movie touches on so many different topics, privilege, race, like class, all of that. Not only the times now, the times back then too, when the musical was made. But I think there is just such power in that message, especially right now, because we still are, years later, even though we've progressed as a society, we still are dealing with those same things.
Yeah. Right off the bat, we are introduced to the concept that Elphaba feels othered.
Yeah.
We're also introduced to Elphaba's strength, because the way she kind of handles that situation, she's like, oh, here's Nessa Rose. As you can see, she's a perfectly acceptable color.
Yeah, yes.
And she like laughs about it. So we're already seeing Elphaba as a strong, like, this is rolling right off my back, girl. And like correcting her English, like all these things.
Yeah.
A little bit later in that scene, we see her use her powers as one of the staff members is trying to roll her sister away.
Right.
She uses her powers. So we're introduced to her like magic as well right away.
Yeah. Again, the idea that like she always tried to like suppress her magic and hide it because it was, one, different, and two, like she just in the past, you see like the negative connotation that came with her ability, as opposed to acknowledging the skill set that she has and helping her nourish it, right? It was always something that she was ashamed of.
Right.
Which is so unfortunate because I feel like that happens a lot of times in life, right?
Yeah.
With certain people's talents, like in general, whether, I don't know, let's say you're a musical theater kid, but you were made fun of it for doing it in school or whatever it is. So people start to like think that is bad, and they start to hide that part of themselves as opposed to like really nourishing that part of themselves and letting it out.
Being gay
Yeah.
is like, I mean, it's the theme of our podcast,
Right.
like feeling othered because you are not alike the majority of the people around you who are straight, and feeling othered. And, even when she's standing in the middle of that circle as Ariana's confronting her, like, oh my God, you're green. She's isolated from the entire group of people. She's standing alone. I think a lot of us have felt like that at stages in our life.
Totally.
So we can like immediately identify.
And it's funny how like one thing, because watching the movie, you're like, why can't people just get over the fact that she's green? But it's all of that, right? It's like, yeah, you being gay, why can't people just look past that? You liking XYZ, why can't people get past that? It really is so true to how we can be in society.
Yeah. It definitely applies to a zillion different things.
Yeah,
So I think
totally.
that's why so many people are probably attracted to this story.
Yeah. I also saw a little clip of Cynthia talking about the hairstyle choices.
Oh, yeah?
And how like the micro braids, she really wanted it to be like micro braids because she really wanted it to tie into herself, and she wanted it to feel like a part of her and true to her as herself as a Black woman.
Yeah.
So the hair was also a big like point of discussion, and she got a good say in that, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And the article that I was reading online was also just talking about the representation of different hair over the years in cinema, right? So I think seeing like a main character with this hairstyle and style overall, I think is just so amazing, especially in one of the highest grossing like films today, so.
And it all very much made sense. Like
Mm-hmm.
her nails, the hair, the way they painted and contoured the green with the darker green and the lighter green, and it wasn't a CGI overlay of like greenness on somebody who didn't want to wear the green makeup.
Right.
It was all very real, and it felt real. Speaking of real, right after she does her ability in the courtyard, Madame Morrible comes out and says, hey, come with me, says your powers could, if you do good, you might get to meet the wizard. She goes into the Wizard and I, which was the first time I really realized, oh my gosh, she is singing live on set. You can hear like set pieces moving around. You can actually hear that she's singing live. I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot that they sang live on this movie.
And that's another thing John Ju was saying. He was like, a lot of directors or a lot of people might not want to hear all that, like the footsteps and the ruffles and whatever. He's like, I wanted it to feel as real as possible. And he's like, so I wanted to keep that stuff in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it really did. And it's funny because then you listen to the soundtrack after, and granted, not all of that is in the soundtrack, right?
Right.
But then watching the movie after listening to the soundtrack again, I'm like, oh yeah, it's all there.
Yeah.
It's all live. It's crazy. It's amazing.
And you know what? They did the same thing with they kind of follow the blueprint of the musical really well. Like the popular song is really in the movie and in the stage production. It really is in sections. And then they string it together really nicely to listen to on the soundtrack. So it's like, okay, here's the 4-minute song.
Right.
But it is very different from the movie.
Yeah.
Because
there's little moments. Defying Gravity too, right? Like there's little moments where they're talking and break it up. And the song happens over a long course of time. But when you're listening to it, they obviously keep it as one song, like one continuous song.
Yes.
Which is cool. It's cool to listen to it, and it's cool to watch it too, because it's a whole experience. It's a different experience.
Yeah. It's like the I Wish song. She's super hopeful about meeting the wizard.
Oh.
She's heard about the wizard growing up, all these things, and then someone everyone looks up to. She dreams of being by the wizard's side.
Oh my gosh, the journey that Elphaba goes on, because yes, she has this dream, and yes, she's working to harness her power and learn how to control it. But at the same time, you see all these other things just happening in her like social life, that scene where they go to the dance. What is that?
The Ozdas Ballroom.
The Ozdas Ballroom.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That scene really got me. Okay.
Yeah.
Like seeing the tear in her eyes and everything. That moment where she comes out and everyone's just staring at her. She's wearing the black hat. She's wearing the black dress. Like, she starts dancing and everyone, oh my God, it broke my heart so much.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Especially after Elphaba had just asked Madame Morrible to bring Galinda into the sessions and like, hey, gift her a wand. Was that the intention of that? Like, hey, she invited me to the dance. I'm gonna have Professor.
No, the reason that Elphaba did that was because Nessa told her that Galinda made this connection happen between her and Bach.
Oh.
So
do you know that from reading the book? How do you know that?
No, just because. So Nessa was like telling Elphaba, you know?
Yeah, Galinda made it happen.
Yeah, she's like, Galinda made it happen. She says, I wish there was something I could do to repay her. And then she also says, like, do not say another bad thing about her. Like, she is the reason why I'm about to have the best night of my life.
Yes.
So then Elphaba's like, oh, how can she repay her? Well, let me make this happen for her.
Yeah.
And then that's when you see Madame Morrible come to the party. Yeah, come to the party and give Galinda the wand.
Yeah. Okay, so then when Elphaba walks in with the hat that Galinda had very maliciously gifted to her and wore, people are laughing. Galinda feels really bad.
Yeah. So she joins in.
Yeah.
Which I guess they actually didn't want Ariana, the actress. They didn't want her knowing the choreography beforehand so that it could make it look like she really was following her. Yeah. So I guess that's how they did that, which I thought was really cool too, Cool. Just to make it as authentic as possible. But yeah, I do think that that's such a powerful scene. And again, it kind of goes into the whole also idea of like, so I was reading as well online. There was like this one big article that was kind of talking about the different themes that happen throughout the movie. One of them was like female relationships, and friendships, and the idea of like being against each other and then being with each other. Yeah. So I think there is such a contrast there where like they are loathing each other, right? Yeah. And then that moment of like her obviously recognizing the damage that she's done and then being like, hey, let me try and fix this, Yeah. And then they end up becoming friends.
Yeah, they end up becoming very good friends, best friends.
Best friends, yeah.
And after the Ozdas ballroom
is when they go back to the room and oh my God, Ariana is so funny. Okay. Oh my God. She really is. Like, and I know she has the acting chops, right? That's where she came from and all that. But Ariana's hilarious. Like just that scene where she's like, she's like, okay, let's tell each other secrets. And then like she pulls out the bottle underneath Elphaba's pillow and Elphaba's like, freaks out and is like, that was my mom's. And she's like, well, that's not fair. I told you a really good one. And then she like goes to the bed and is like pouting on the bed and like looks back. I'm like, just like the whole characterization of it all. I'm like, she really stepped into that role really, really well. Yeah. Which I think is good because even my sister, and I were talking about it, and my sister mentioned, she was like, I actually didn't feel like I was watching, but you know how sometimes you watch somebody in a role and you can't help but see them, but who they are. Yeah. And she's like, I really didn't feel like I was watching Ariana. I felt like I was watching Galinda. Yeah. And I'm like, that's true. She really did do a good job of like stepping into that character.
Those are my favorite. I think that's why I love Schitt's Creek so much. I believed every single one of the characters in the whole entire show. And I think that's true for this too. I like Cynthia. There were moments where I was like, oh my God, that's Cynthia Erivo. I believe the character. Ariana did such a good job of like really setting aside what she's been doing for the past 10, 15 years in terms of pop music and digging deep into that theater background. Oh, so good.
And apparently that scene after Popular or like at the end of Popular where she's running through the hallways, apparently that was a last minute thing and that was like not a necessarily choreographed thing.
Oh, really?
So she kind of did that on, she started playing around with that because I guess John Chu, she says in an interview, John Chu was like, how can we utilize this set? Let's play with it. And then they kind of threw that together.
Oh my gosh.
And they didn't even know if it would make it or not. But like, I thought that was amazing.
It's really amazing. And that dancing style, that was one of the parts where I was like, oh my gosh, that's Galinda.
Yeah.
Because it was very like bouncy and fast and like very, very, very different from the dancing style we get from Ariana on stage when she's pop performing.
The high kick, girl, the high kick. And I forget, like Ariana can split, she can high kick, she can do the things, you know, but it is so different than what we're used to seeing her do on stage, because obviously it's just such a different genre.
Oh my gosh, so very good.
Amazing.
And
Also,
so much
can we
fun.
take a moment to talk about Jonathan Bailey?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh my gosh, Mr. Fierro.
We skipped over his song "Dancing Through Life" right before the Oz's Ballroom.
So good. So good.
Oh my gosh, it took them 7 days to film in the library with the rotating bookcase. But yeah, he's really talented.
So talented. First of all, I didn't know he could sing. Okay.
I didn't know he could dance.
Like, yeah, apparently they were saying, because he was practicing for this while filming Bridgerton and like doing all this other stuff.
Okay.
Everyone was like, oh, he was always dancing in the trailer and like doing all this stuff, because all of that he actually did, right? Like everything. Yeah. So I was very, very impressed with that too.
He's super charming. He's charming in interviews. He's charming like all the time.
Okay, so then after
they enter the class, she throws down the poppies that puts everybody to sleep. They grab the cub.
The poppies. Oh yeah, her and Fierro.
Which I thought the poppies in the classroom was such a clever nod to Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Because in Wizard of Oz, Dorothy and company are running through the poppies and they fall asleep.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought that was such a because they don't do that in the musical.
No, they don't. And it was that was purposely done as a nod to it. And
it's so cool.
There were so many nods, because also the red slippers that Galinda pulls out during Popular, and then also apparently the library, you know, the set, it's supposed to say Oz in the back, like when they're crossing each other. Yeah, so there's like a bunch of little things that people were pointing out. And yeah, same thing, like even the poppies in the, you know, at the beginning when they're running through. Another thing was that Steven Schwartz made a cameo in the movie.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and I didn't realize that the first time around.
Yeah.
But he's the one who says like, the wizard will see you now. And when I saw it again, like I had told my sister that, and we like looked at each other, we're like, it's him.
Yes.
So I thought that was really cool. There was like so many little, again, Easter eggs or whatever that that you start to notice afterwards.
So then in the classroom, everyone falls asleep, they take the lion cub to the forest. Fierro and Elphaba kind of have like a moment. It's the first time you kind of see them notice one another.
Yeah.
And she's singing, and he kind of like leaves quickly.
Right.
And she sings the song "I'm Not That Girl," which is so good.
Which is also so good. Okay.
Yeah.
It just melts my heart.
I know, it's a bummer.
Because I think also I think a lot of us in one way or another can relate to that as well.
Of
right?
course.
I mean, all these themes. I feel like so many of these themes we can all relate to. But I think it is that idea of like feeling like you were just not destined for that life, or you were not destined for that role, but you see other people who just seem to have it so easily handed to them, right?
Yeah.
Granted, pros and cons to every situation, but it's just the feeling of it that I think really hits home, honestly. And also that's another song that I've been seeing so many people on TikTok like cover.
Oh yeah.
And it's just so beautiful. You know, it's so beautiful, and it's so nice to see everyone's kind of take on it. Yeah. And it's, you know, it's also crazy because then the comments are always like, wow, there's so many talented people in this world that we will just never see.
I know.
And I'm like, these people are incredible. Just like singing their hearts out in their living room, like recording this video. I'm like, I wish I could do that.
It's incredible. I mean, there's a couple of clips people have been posting from Ellen Stardust Diner in New York.
Oh, yes.
And like, oh my God. There are some people I cannot believe they are not like on Broadway. But I guess that happens. Like people who try out for the Olympics and don't make it, like sometimes perform for Cirque du Soleil, or they, you know, people find different jobs that like coincide with their passion, and that's how it works.
Right.
Yeah, there are a lot of really talented people.
And then that kind of sets off the whole, Glinda mentions it later, that Fierro's being like distant and different, and she goes, he's been thinking and it worries me.
Yes.
Like the whole thing, you know. And this is around the time that then Elphaba gets the letter back from the wizard inviting her to the Emerald City.
Yes.
So she's getting ready to go to the Emerald City. The big, beautiful train arrives and everyone's getting ready. Oh, and Galinda has her moment. Okay. because Elphaba and Fierro are talking about that day with the cub and all that. And she announces to everybody that she will be going by Glinda now.
Yes.
Which I think is so funny. As the train is about to leave, Alphaba's like, come with me.
Yeah.
So Glinda hops on the train and goes to the Emerald City with her.
Yes, one short day.
One short day. I love that one too. That's such a good one.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
the
gosh.
way they brought, well, the train, amazing. Not in the musical either.
Right.
But wow. And then the Emerald City itself. Wow. I was just wowed. I was like, the category is extra. Like anything that they could go over the top with, they did in such a tasteful way. I mean, they built out the Emerald City beautifully. It was incredible.
I'm so glad they did. Of course, they had to. Like, this is such a beloved musical, and people have been waiting forever for this remake, right? Or for this movie, I guess. There probably could have been so many ways to, I guess, cut corners or do things differently. You could have done CGI. You could have done all this. Like, you didn't have to go that extra mile. But I think what the beautiful thing, it seems like everybody on the team had, was such a love for this musical that they wanted it to be the best it could possibly be.
Yeah.
Which honestly it shows, because I feel like even in recent days, not with Universal necessarily, but just with like remakes in general or live action makes or whatever it is, people have been really criticizing them, you know? So I think for something like this to do so well, it just goes to show that like all that hard work and energy and the commitment to the craft and the commitment to like honoring the original
Absolutely.
really, really showed.
And right now in time, AI is such a big topic. Computerized things are such a big topic. And I think it just goes to show how much people appreciate authenticity. And I think Universal was probably more equipped and prepared to spend money on something practical after they deprioritized Wicked for Cats. I don't know if you remember the movie Cats was such a flop.
I remember that. It was crazy.
It was like the only thing real was people's faces that they had placed on these like cats. It was just so bad.
It was really bad.
They cut every corner they could for and Cats, it probably was hard to imagine anyhow. Seeing it on stage is a little funny as well.
Yeah.
But it was so bad. I think that probably they were more like equipped and ready to spend money on Wicked to be like, okay, John Chu, we'll plant 9 million tulips or poppies for this.
And I think in a time where AI is being looked at so intensely, technology is being looked at so intensely, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whatever connotation you have with it, I think if they had done a lot of CGI on it, then people just wouldn't have been as invested maybe.
Yeah.
And it would have just felt fake, right? Or it wouldn't have felt real because everyone would have been able to tell like, well, this was all just computerized.
Yeah.
You know? So I think the fact
Definitely.
that they did that really did make people feel like, wow, I'm in this world.
Yeah.
And it paid off. So they get to the Emerald City.
They get to the Emerald City. They sing the song. Kristen and Adina show up. They sing a little ditty about the Grimoire, this book that had a lost language.
And they have little odes to their characters too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was so
like
good.
Kristen tapping the wand while she's up there, and then Adina doing her no. I was like, wow, they did that.
They
That was
fit
so
it
cool.
all in, and
They
it was
did.
like people like laughed out loud when Adina did her note. It was very cute.
But yeah, they do that, and then they go and meet the wizard.
They go in to meet the wizard. The flying monkeys, the monkeys at this point, escort them to see the wizard. The wizard comes out from behind the screen, behind his big old mask. They're like, oh my gosh, it's a man.
Yeah, just a man. He sings, I'm a Sentimental Man.
Yes. Jeff Goldblum.
Ah, so good.
Love him. I always have loved him. He's so
Yeah.
great.
Something about him in and out of character, even in interviews and all that stuff, just kind of warms your heart.
Yeah. He seems like a fun, jolly older gentleman.
Yeah.
Like, he's great.
And then Madame Orville shows up.
Yes.
And
Suspicious.
They're like, what do you do? Well, Alphaba's excited, obviously, because she's the one who got her there.
Yeah.
So you think like, oh my God, she's here to support, you know? And then they're kind of testing Alphaba to read
The Grimoire.
the Grimoire.
Yeah.
It opens up for her. Okay. She's able to read it. Then the monkeys turn into flying monkeys because they get the wings. But Alphaba's like, it's hurting them. They're in pain. She's not happy about this. Because then they also mention that they will be good spies. So then the whole kind of fight against the animals comes up. realizing that they're behind in capturing of the animals.
Putting them in cages.
Yes, she starts to realize that, one, they're behind the cause that she's trying to help. So that's already like a no-go, right? And then she starts questioning, well, if this is what you wanted, why couldn't you do it yourself?
Right.
And then she's like, oh, because you can't read the grimoire because you're a fake.
Yeah.
So she throws the grimoire at him and she's like, read it.
Yeah.
And he won't, and she realizes, right?
Yeah. Well, even Jeff Goldblum even says,
Yeah.
it's because I need you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does. And yeah, he basically admits to not having any power.
Yeah.
Or he does admit
Yeah.
to not having any power. So then she steals a grimoire and she starts running off, and Glinda's chasing after her.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I know. They take the balloon. This is also not in the musical. They take the balloon up to a different level. It sort of buys them time. The guards are kind of chasing after them, and they have enough time to have a one-on-one conversation about like, oh my gosh, girl, you blew it. Like, just go and say you're sorry. Like, you can still be with the wizard.
You can still be with the wizard.
Yes.
I guess I'm saying that. Also, tell me why I was listening to that album on the drive home to San Diego, Thanksgiving, and on the drive back, and I cried every single time.
I know.
Every time
It's
that
so good.
Defying Gravity came on, or oh my god, just I'm Not That Girl came on, any of
Yeah.
those, I was in tears.
Yeah.
That is such a powerful scene because it really is that moment where I feel like you could look at it so many different ways, right? People are like, I can't believe Galinda didn't get on the broom with her. But at the same time, it's like they both, yes, you know, they came to a common ground. They understand each other. They want to help each other. One, yes, they have different methods of going about things. But two, I feel like it's also about like them being true to who they are and what they want out of life. Like it is a lot to ask somebody to give up family, friends, life, everything, and go be God knows where, right? For Elphaba, that is the right thing to do. And that is how she's going to fight. And that is who she is as a person.
Yeah.
Glinda, that's not what she wants out of life. As
No.
much as she loves loves Elphaba, and as much as she cares about Elphaba, that is not the life that she wants. And you also, I feel, can't just live someone else's life because you care about them. You also have to be true to what's going to make you happy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's definitely a two-sided coin here. It's like,
Yeah.
it's hard to say.
It's definitely hard. I mean, I think, in my opinion, Elphaba is making a decision. She's staying true to what she feels inside, fighting for what she thinks is right to protect these animals, and going about it the way she knows how to go about it. I actually think Glinda has a more complex set of issues at hand. She feels as though people look up to her in a way to help guide them and to brighten their day or to lift their spirits, and has to live with the decision of like, well, I know this actually isn't right because we know she has a conscience, but she's actually just making the decision to be like, okay, well, for the widespread greater good happiness of all the people, I'm going to play along.
Yeah.
And I think that's a much more complex internal struggle than being like, well, I know this is right, so I'm going to fight for it no matter what. But it's a huge set of problems for both of them.
Yeah.
And yeah, in this moment, you get to see Elphaba make that decision, and Glinda also makes that decision. In this moment, they look each other in the eyes and say, I hope you're happy now that you're choosing this. I love you. This is kind of like the goodbye that you say to a friend.
Breaks my heart because obviously it would be, in an ideal world, they would be embarking on whatever journey together and fixing these issues together. But yeah, they both have different methods of quote unquote fighting, right? And yes, Galinda's like, look, I'm gonna fight from the inside, you know?
Yeah.
Elphaba's like, I'm fighting from the outside. Two very different approaches.
Yeah.
One isn't, better than the other per se, but it is very complex.
Yeah.
It's
absolutely.
very hard. Yeah, I don't know. And then Alphaba just takes it home with that ginormous cape.
Oh my God. It was just like growing and growing and growing. Her blessings are multiplying.
Literally,
Like,
I'm
amazing.
like, oh my gosh. But what a way to end the movie, part 1.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It was
So
just
good.
incredible.
So good.
I'm also just still so impressed, obviously, as many of us are, that Cynthia was flying around in this singing like that.
Yeah.
How did she sound like that? Obviously, she said she had to work with like her vocal coach to figure out how she was gonna.
Really, really impressive. And you know, I see the behind the scenes clips of her actually like whipping around in this thing and singing. She's like, I got a corset on. She's got the makeup on, the wig, the dress, holding a stick, like literally doing the most. And like singing this song take after take after take after take. It was
crazy.
Really, really difficult to do, I'm sure.
I'm sure, but it just is such a testament to like the talent and the commitment and the hard work and everything, because it was amazing. It turned out so good.
So good. I was so curious that I looked up Act 2 of the stage production on YouTube, and I watched that a couple of times.
Okay.
So I was like, oh my God.
I know. Act 2. I can't believe we have to wait another year.
Well, it's just under a year. I actually have a countdown on my phone because they announced the date. It comes out in 344 days.
Work. Okay, 344 days, everybody.
Yes.
Wow. I'm very excited for part 2. I'm so excited to see how they interpret it. The music in part 2 is also so good. So I'm so excited. Yeah, like for good. Oh God, I know I'm gonna cry again.
Right.
But you know, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very excited.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad we both got to go see it. It was,
Yes, same.
incredible.
And if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out.
Yeah, I do encourage you to go see it in the theater while it's still like big and bodacious on the big screen.
Go enjoy with yourself, with people, whoever it is, whatever. But go see the movie. We definitely loved it.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. We aren't done just yet. We do have a couple more things. Really quick. Spotify Wrapped came out this week.
Gosh, it did. Okay. Who are your top artists, Eric?
Okay, my top artists. Okay, I'm gonna go backwards.
Okay.
Number 5 was Ariana.
Okay. Oh, okay. Work.
Yes. Number 4 was a lo-fi artist that I really like.
Okay.
It's called Sleep Guru.
Cool.
I listen to it while I'm working.
Oh, I love that. Okay. Cool.
I wish I could like eliminate those because I'm not like a fan of his, but whatever.
Yeah.
3rd is Nick Jonas. Nick Jonas has been in my top 5 for 5 years now.
Wow.
He's always I love Spaceman. It is my favorite album of recent history.
I love that.
Yeah, I listen to it every time I'm flying. Yeah. Tori Kelly was number 2.
Good one. Oh my God, she's so good.
And number 1 was Queen Herbie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Has she been your top one before?
Yeah, the previous year she was in the top 5, but she was not number 1. It's because I saw her twice this past year, and I was like getting in the mood and trying to learn the raps, and I couldn't.
No, but I get that.
But
I feel like whenever, like, my sister was saying this too. She's like, my Spotify Wrapped is always the concerts that I went to this year because like you get in such that vibe.
Yeah.
So I totally get it. This year was very, very pop centric. Okay. So my top artist. But okay, just like how you were saying, you listen to music while you're working. I listen to music for work.
Yeah.
So all except for the last one I know for sure is because of my cardio dance classes. Number 5 was Pitbull.
Oh, yeah.
Number 4 was Chappell Roan.
Okay.
Number 3 was Beyonce.
Yes.
Number 2 was Sabrina Carpenter.
Excellent.
And number 1 was Ariana Grande. Okay. Now she, except for like last year, I think the year before that she was still my top, but like it was probably like 3 years in a row where she was my top.
Yeah.
And then like last year was the 1 year that she wasn't.
Okay.
And then this year she came back again, I think because of her album.
Yeah.
And get this, it says, Spotify said, you are obsessed. You were in the top 0.005% of listeners globally.
Oh my God.
0.005 is crazy.
That is wild.
Crazy.
Oh my God, you're dedicated.
Apparently. No, I'm just kidding. I do love her.
Oh my
what
gosh.
were your top songs?
My top songs, I'm gonna do 5. So my number 5 was, oh God, I don't know why I'm embarrassed to say this. It was Meghan Trainor. It was a song called Love on Hold featuring T-Pain.
Oh,
Loved it.
Wait, I don't know that one.
It was a it was a
With
bop.
T-Pain?
Yeah.
I love that. I gotta check that out. I love
Yeah.
T-Pain.
Oh my God. Yeah. I just listened to it a lot. Number 4 was Oceans by Tori Kelly. It was one of her like vocal Olympic songs.
That's a good one.
Number 3 was Dam Dala, Miracle Maker.
Oh, I love that song.
I love that song.
Oh
It's
my God.
It's at the top of my workout playlist, so I play it
Yes.
first every single day. Number 2 was Ariana Grande, Yes and.
Work.
And number 1, I listened to 77 times. This year, it was Angel of My Dreams by Jade.
That's a good one. Oh, Jade. That's a good one.
Yeah, it was
oh my
good.
God.
What were yours?
Okay. Number 5 was Taste by Sabrina Carpenter.
Yes.
Number 4 was mine are all only 2 artists. Okay?
Fireball.
Number 4. That'd be amazing. Number 4 was Nonsense by Sabrina Carpenter. And number 3 was Good Graces by Sabrina Carpenter.
Oh my gosh.
Like the last 3 were all Sabrina Carpenter. Good Graces, I for sure played on a repeat.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2 was Bye by Ariana Grande.
Okay.
And number 1 was Yes and by Ariana Grande.
Yes.
I'm kind of surprised at that one because I guess it was the first single that came out, right?
Yeah.
So I guess maybe that's also why. But like when the album came out, I love that song, but I wouldn't say it was my favorite.
Yeah.
So that's why I was kind of surprised. But I definitely think Bye is like one of my favorites on the album.
Okay.
So that makes more sense. But yeah, Ariana and Sabrina were just my top songs this year.
Oh my gosh.
Which like last year it was very like pop, reggaeton, EDM, like a very mix. And this year was just all pop.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the pop girlies really came out this year. You know?
One Ariana song that I always go back and listen to is Break Up With Your Boyfriend. Break Up With Your Girlfriend.
That's a good one.
Oh my God. I just listen to it a lot still.
I always go back to Yours Truly, the album. Like
Really?
Honeymoon Avenue, like all of that. Like that's what I
Well, you were like a tween at that time. So it's probably attached to some formative memories.
probably. No, literally. And like that album I can always go back to on like a car long drive or whatever. I will play that from start to finish and I will
Yeah.
belt it all.
Oh.
Yeah, I like love that album.
It's
forever,
good.
and that's I think what keeps me on her 0.005%.
Yeah, probably. Oh my gosh.
Because that's like my favorite. That's the one that really got me onto her.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you have a music recommendation for this week that wasn't on your
Spotify Wrapped?
Spotify?
I do.
What is on your radar?
Okay. Do you know the girl group Flow?
No, but I keep seeing it suggested on YouTube. What is that?
So they're 3 girls. They're London based, I believe, or from London.
Okay.
And so one of the first songs that I heard from them, this isn't my recommendation, but it's a good one, is it's called, I will tell you right now, it's featuring Missy Elliott and it's called Fly Girl. So you know that Missy Elliott where it's like, if you a fly girl, get your nails done, get your pedicure, get your hair did.
Yes.
They take that and they made it like a new song, kind of like R&B song.
Okay.
And it's very like groovy, whatever. It's called Fly Girl and it has Missy Elliott in it.
Fun.
With Flow. That song, when I first heard it, I was like, oh my God, these girls are fire. And they do a lot of like on performances. They were at Coachella last year. They do a lot of like covers of like that era, like early 2000s R&B and hip hop type of vibe. So they do a lot of covers, but they're like very good singers. They can move, they're cute, the whole thing. But lately the song that I've been playing is called In My Bag and it's featuring Glorilla, like a rapper.
Okay.
And it's just so cute. It's very cute, but also very sassy where it's like, I know I'm that girl. Okay, I'm in my bag, get my check, get my fit, like that. And I'm just like, it's so cute. It makes you feel like a little baddie. So yeah, I've been playing that one. It's on on repeat.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I haven't heard either of these songs. I'm adding them to the Queer Compass playlist right now.
Yes. Okay, amazing.
And I will listen to them this week.
Beautiful.
Oh my God, I love
it.
it. Mine this week is from 2016. It was a bonus track from Britney Spears' album called Glory. The song is called Mood Ring.
Okay.
And it's just a really heavy pop production song. The bass is thick and fat and her vocals are not too computerized. It's just really good. It's like a mid-tempo. It's not a ballad. It's a mid-tempo song.
Okay.
It's very good. I love it. I love it. It reminds me of Inside Out.
Oh,
Love Me
like
Inside Out.
Yeah, yeah.
What is that? Femme Fatale. It's very a la that.
Got it.
And
Cute.
yeah, I've been queuing it up a lot lately.
Oh my
I just like
gosh.
get into these songs and I just can't stop listening.
Well, it's like also sometimes, you find a song that you're like, oh my God, I forgot about this one. And then
Yeah.
you're just like, all of a sudden it's at the top of your queue every time.
Yeah.
So I get it.
But I was so proud. I was like playing it while I was showering the other day, and Steve goes, is that Britney Spears? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you for not saying like BB Rexa or someone else.
Oh my God,
Yeah, I was like,
that's
oh my
crazy.
God.
You're like, win.
He's trained.
He's
No, I'm kidding.
I love
kidding,
that.
I'm
No,
kidding.
that's amazing. Though. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, so much good music happening right
Yes,
now.
excellent.
Including the Wicked soundtrack, okay? Because I've been listening to that. Like
Same.
next year, it's gonna be like, oh, your top song or album was
Right.
Wicked.
Well, and then as we queue up and get ready for it to come out in November next year, it's
Even
definitely going to
more.
be included, you know?
Oh, for sure. I feel like I'm definitely gonna have that in my Spotify rap.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
go check it out.
Check us out on socials.
Yep.
Don't forget this episode's available on YouTube free of charge. And don't forget to check out our The Queer Compass playlist on Spotify.
Yes. All right.
Alrighty, we'll see you in the new year.
See you in the new year. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.